Tekashi 6ix9ine got off easy yesterday, but victims from his gang-related crimes are still saying that he should pay a price. We spoke with Sky Daniels, who was mistakenly held at by 9 Trey Blood members in 2018, and to this day, she's still rattled.
I was in the hospital.
So 4 armed just broke into 6ix9ine's Florida home while his 60-year-old mother was inside alone. They held her at while they ransacked the place. And where was 6ix9ine during all of this? Live streaming with Jack Doherty in Miami. We've got the surveillance footage. We've got 6ix9ine's response. And honestly, the timing of all this couldn't be worse for him. Let me break down everything that went down. Sunday night, November 16th, around 10 p.m., 6ix9ine's house on Duckweed Road in Palm Beach County. His mother is home alone when 4 masked men slip in through the garage. According to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, these guys came prepared with and they knew exactly what they were looking for: cash and car keys. The surveillance video that TMZ got their hands on shows just how terrifying this was. You can see his mom face to face with these burglars, and you can hear her voice shaking as she's begging and pleading with them. The family dog is running around confused in the background. One of the intruders stays posted up with her, while the other 3 tear through the house.
There's only one thing I fear in life. No, 2 things. No, I'm not gonna. I fear and I fear the FBI. Only 2 things I'm scared of in life. God first, and the FBI.
At one point, they walk her outside, then bring her right back in. The whole time, she's being used as basically a human shield while they search for valuables. Here's the crazy part: 6ix9ine wasn't even supposed to be out. He's been on house arrest since September after violating his probation, but he got special permission to leave for work, and that work was doing a live stream with Jack Doherty. So while his house is getting robbed, he's in Miami going live with a YouTuber who literally just got out of jail himself the day before. Yeah, we need to talk about Jack Doherty for a second, because this whole situation is wild. Doherty is this 22-year-old YouTuber with over 15 million subscribers who's known for doing pranks and stunts. He got arrested on Saturday, November 15th in Miami Beach. Police found drugs on him, he was disrupting traffic to film content, and he got hit with charges for possession of a controlled substance, marijuana, and resisting an officer. His bond was set at $3,500.
Filing life insurance and putting himself as the beneficiary. There was a video that was leaked, and she's accusing him of leaking it. 6ix9ine did a trick, created a company he made her sign a paper to, and that was a company that she introduced to companies such as Rock Nation to send the money to.
So Sunday night, less than 24 hours after getting released, he's already back to filming content, and who does he link up with? 6ix9ine. During the live stream, Doherty was literally wearing a t-shirt with his own mugshot on it. 6ix9ine was congratulating him on getting out. They're just vibing, doing their thing, and then everything changes. In the middle of the stream, 6ix9ine gets the call. His house is being robbed. The live stream captures Doherty's reaction as 6ix9ine races back home. Doherty tells the viewers what's happening. He says they were live streaming with 6ix9ine, and apparently he got robbed, so now there's cops at his house everywhere. He tells everyone the collaboration might have to continue tomorrow. By the time 6ix9ine gets home, the burglars are already gone. When deputies arrived at the scene, they talked to several people who were inside the house. They confirmed that 4 armed masked men had entered with handguns. They held his mother physically outside while the others ransacked the property looking for cash and car keys. Police brought in K9 units to search the house, but they came up empty.
Opens the door, puts the in my face. Yo, give me everything, run everything. I'm like, oh, they got me. It's over. I got some jewelry back at the house. I don't tell them where I live. While I'm telling them, pleading like, yo, sorry, they're driving right to the front of my house. How would they know where I live?
The suspects had already left, probably in a vehicle before police even arrived. Now let's get to 6ix9ine's response, because he did not hold back. The next day, he posted a video addressing everything. He starts off by saying he wants to clear up all the fake news and rumors. He reminds everyone that the world knows he's on house arrest. He's been on house arrest. Everyone in America and across the world knows this. Then he explains what happened. Yesterday, they allowed him to leave for work. People saw saw that he was on Livestream with Jack Doherty, and they took that opportunity to do what he called some extremely disrespectful stuff. He says it's him, so he gets it. The rules are different for him, but if this was anyone else's favorite artist or favorite actor, nobody would give them cool points for this. And then he gets emotional talking about his mom. He says she's 60 years old. Everyone knows he's supposed to come home. Everyone knows he's home all the time because he's on house arrest. So these people saw their opportunity when he wasn't home, when he was on Livestream with Jack Doherty in Miami, and they did this. He called it cowardly. He said it's weak and nobody respects it.
I'm good in my hood. Always see me, I'm outside. I'm never by myself, bro. Never by myself. Always talking about always see me by myself, don't do nothing. If you don't like me, do something about it, because I'm always in New York by myself.
But 6ix9ine didn't stop there. He posted another video throwing cash in the air, essentially taunting the burglars. He's making it clear that whatever they took, if they took anything, it doesn't matter to him. He's still got plenty. It's classic 6ix9ine behavior. Honestly, even when something serious happens, he turns it into content and controversy. The question everyone's asking is who did this and why? Law enforcement hasn't made any arrests yet. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is still investigating, reviewing surveillance footage from the neighborhood, and talking to potential witnesses. But the why seems pretty obvious when you look at who 6ix9ine is and what he's done. Let's go back to 2019. That's when 6ix9ine's whole world changed. He was facing decades in prison on racketeering charges, firearms charges, narcotics trafficking, and violent crimes. He was part of the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods, and federal prosecutors had him dead to rights. But instead of going down with the ship, he made a decision that would define the rest of his life. He cooperated with the government. He testified against his own gang members. He helped convict 2 high-ranking members of the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods. The government called his cooperation extraordinary and brave. Judge Paul Engelmeyer sentenced him to just 2 years in prison because of it. And then COVID happened, and he got released early to home confinement because of health risks. He served even less time than that. But there was a price for that cooperation. In hip-hop culture, there's nothing worse than being labeled a snitch. And that's exactly what happened to 6ix9ine. Other rappers publicly called him out. Snoop Dogg called him a snitch. People made memes. His credibility in the streets was completely destroyed. And it's not just talk. In March 2023, 6ix9ine was working out at an LA Fitness in Lake Worth Beach, Florida. He was in the sauna when 3 men, reportedly members of the Latin Kings, jumped him. They beat him badly. He suffered blood clots, fractured ribs, cuts to his face, and bruises all over. Videos of the attack went viral on social media. You could see him on the ground getting kicked and punched. When he walked out of the bathroom after, his face was swollen. The attackers made it clear why they did it. They said snitches weren't welcome in their neighborhood. 3 men were eventually arrested and charged for the assault, including a father and son, and 6ix9ine actually just filed a lawsuit in January 2025 against LA Fitness for more than $1 million. He's claiming the gym failed to provide adequate security and didn't follow proper protocols like calling the police. What's interesting about that gym attack is that 6ix9ine wasn't with security when it happened. After he got out of prison, he made a point of going around without bodyguards. A lot of the time, sources close to him said he'd been going out in public without his hired muscle pretty regularly for over a year without any issues. He wanted to live as normal a life as possible. He chalked up the gym beatdown as an outlier and refused to let it change how he lived. But everyone questioned that decision. When you're as famous and controversial as 6ix9ine, when you've cooperated against gang members, when you're constantly trolling people online and starting feuds, going out without security seems insane. Back in 2019, security experts estimated that proper 24/7 protection for someone like 6ix9ine would cost over $1 million a year. And that's if security companies would even take him on as a client because the risk is so high. Some people wondered if 6ix9ine could even afford that kind of security anymore. When he came out of prison in 2020, he signed a massive deal and released music that did huge numbers. But his career hasn't been the same since. His recent projects haven't performed as well. The trolling that used to get him attention started feeling played out. So maybe he genuinely can't afford round-the-clock security anymore. Or maybe he's just stubborn and refuses to live in fear. Either way, this home invasion proves that the threats against him are very real, and the people who did this were clearly watching him. They knew his schedule, they knew he was on house arrest. They saw the live stream with Jack Doherty and realized he was in Miami, not at home. They knew his mother would be there alone. This wasn't random, this was planned. And all of this is happening at literally the worst possible time for 6ix9ine legally. He's scheduled to be sentenced on November 20th, which is this week. He's facing between 3 and 9 months in prison for violating his supervised release. Again, here's what happened. Back in November 2024, he got caught violating his probation. He failed to show up for drug tests. He tested positive for methamphetamine. He traveled to Las Vegas without permission to perform at a concert. And he lied to his probation officer about all of it. Judge Engelmeyer sentenced him to 45 days in jail, plus another year of supervised release. He got out in December 2024, and almost immediately he violated again. In March, police raided his Miami home and found cocaine and MDMA in his bedroom cabinet. He admitted the drugs were his. Then in August, he got into a fight at a Florida mall. A guy was hecking him, calling him a snitch, taunting him. According to his lawyer, this person had a gun and was threatening him and his family. 6ix9ine and another person ended up kicking and punching the guy. He pleaded guilty to misdemeanor battery. So now federal prosecutors are pushing hard for prison time. They filed a sentencing memo saying that while it brings them no joy to seek prison time for a former cooperator, the court needs to send a message. They're saying 6ix9ine thinks he's above the law because of his cooperator status. They're saying he got extraordinary leniency for his cooperation, and he's taken that as a green light to keep breaking the rules. They want him to serve 3 to 9 months in prison, followed by a new 2-year term of supervised release that includes substance abuse treatment and anger management counseling. They're also pointing out that 6ix9ine is now 6 years removed from his original sentencing, and he still can't control his temper when someone disrespects him. They're saying he needs to learn to turn the other cheek and walk away from situations instead of fighting. 6ix9ine's lawyer, Lance Lazaro, is arguing for house arrest instead of prison. He's saying his client was only caught with a very small amount of drugs, and that the victim of the mall assault was the initial aggressor and wasn't seriously injured. He's also pointing out that for a cooperator like 6ix9ine, time in prison is much more severe, difficult, and even dangerous compared to a typical inmate. Because of his status, he gets isolated from other inmates, has limited social interaction, and restricted opportunities for exercise. Interestingly, the Florida probation office that's been overseeing 6ix9ine's supervised release has basically given up on him. They're recommending just 3 months of home confinement and then letting him be completely free from supervision. Their reasoning? They've exhausted all efforts and resources to correct his behavior. They don't believe further monitoring will help him rehabilitate. But prosecutors strongly disagree with that. They're saying that ending supervision now would reward repeated non-compliance and send the wrong message to other defendants under court oversight. They're arguing that 6ix9ine needs strict monitoring, counseling, and accountability. In their words, while supervised release hasn't gotten him to where he should be, it's prodded him in the right direction. They think a new term is necessary until he can stand steadily on his own, so Judge Engelmeyer has to weigh all of this when he makes his decision this week. And now this home invasion has added another layer to everything. Does it show that 6ix9ine is genuinely in danger and needs some leniency? Or does it prove that the lifestyle he's living and the enemies he's made mean he needs stricter supervision and consequences? What's also interesting is how this fits into the bigger pattern of 6ix9ine's behavior. Ever since he got famous, his whole career has been built on controversy and trolling. He'd start beef with other rappers online. He'd go to neighborhoods where he wasn't welcome and film himself there. He'd post videos flaunting money and jewelry. He'd mock people and dare them to do something about it. And for a while, that strategy worked. It got him millions of views, millions of streams, and made him one of the biggest names in hip-hop. But there's always been this question of when does it go too far? When does the trolling and the controversy actually put you in real danger that you can't come back from? People have compared him to XXXTentacion and Pop Smoke. Both of those rappers were murdered. XXXTentacion was shot during a robbery in 2018. Pop Smoke was killed during a home invasion in 2020. After Pop Smoke died, every comment was asking where was his security. But when 6ix9ine has security, people call him weak for needing it. In an interview with Impulsive back in 2022, 6ix9ine addressed this directly. He pointed out that XXXTentacion and Pop Smoke weren't doing the things he was doing. They weren't trolling constantly. way. They weren't cooperating with the feds against gang members, and they still ended up dead. So in his mind, what difference does it make? If it can happen to them, it can happen to anyone. That's why he has security when he does have it. But the host pushed back and asked why he would push his luck. Why keep trolling? Why keep putting himself in dangerous situations? 6ix9ine pointed to his masked security guards and said, "Because I have them." Logan Paul asked if he planned to have security for the rest of his life, and 6ix9ine said by the time he's 50 or 60, he hopes he has his life together. Well, he's 29 now, and based on everything that's happened, it doesn't seem like he's anywhere close to having it together. This home invasion is proof of that. His legal troubles keep piling up. His career isn't what it used to be. The people around him keep getting arrested, and now his own mother was held at gunpoint in his home while he was out making content. Let me give you a timeline of just the past few years to show you how chaotic 6ix9ine's life has been. 2019, he testifies against his gang December 2019. He's sentenced to 2 years, but gets out early in April 2020 because of COVID. For about a year, things are relatively quiet. He's making music, posting on social media, but staying mostly out of trouble. Then in August 2021, he's back in the news for feuding with other rappers. 2022, more feuds, more controversy, but nothing that gets him arrested. March 2023, the gym attack happens. He gets beaten badly by alleged Latin Kings members. August 2023, he's arrested for failing to appear in court for traffic violations. He'd been caught driving 136 miles per hour in a 65 zone in an unregistered vehicle without insurance. October 2023, he's arrested in the Dominican Republic for allegedly assaulting 2 music producers. November 2024, he's found in violation of probation for meth use, failed drug tests, and unauthorized travel. He serves 45 days. March 2025, police find cocaine and MDMA in his house. August 2025, he gets in a fight at a mall and is charged with battery. September 2025, he's placed back on house arrest. And now November 2025, his house gets robbed while his mom is home alone. That's at least 7 major incidents in less than 3 years. And these are just the ones we know about, the ones that made the news. Who knows what else has happened behind the scenes that didn't get reported? And the other thing to consider is how all of this affects the people around him. His mother just went through one of the most traumatic experiences anyone can go through. She's 60 years old. She was held at gunpoint by 4 armed men who broke into her son's home. The surveillance footage shows her begging and pleading with them. That kind of trauma doesn't just go away. And it's not the first time family members have been caught up in 6ix9ine's mess. When he was arrested in 2018, his whole life became public. His girlfriend at the time dealt with harassment. His daughter has had to grow up with a father who's constantly in jail or in legal trouble. The people in his inner circle are always at risk because of the enemies he's made and the lifestyle he leads. Some people argue that 6ix9ine brought all of this on himself. He cooperated with the feds, which in street culture is unforgivable. He continues to troll and provoke people even though he knows the consequences. He flaunts his wealth and acts invincible even when he's clearly not. So when bad things happen to him, a lot of people feel like he deserves it. But there's another side to that argument. At the end of the day, holding a 60-year-old woman at gunpoint is never justified. Beating someone unconscious in a gym sauna is never justified. No matter what 6ix9ine has done, violence against him or his family isn't the answer. And the people who commit these acts are criminals who should face consequences. The problem is that 6ix9ine exists in this weird space where the normal rules don't quite apply. He can't go to regular police for protection because he's in the system and has enemies everywhere. He can't rely on street justice because he's labeled a snitch and has no real allies in that world anymore. He's caught between 2 worlds and doesn't fully belong to either one. And maybe that's the real tragedy of all this. 6ix9ine made choices early in his career that seemed smart at the time. He joined a gang to get street credibility. He used controversy and trolling to get famous. When he got caught, he cooperated to avoid spending decades in prison. Each decision made sense in the moment, but the cumulative effect of all those decisions has left him in this impossible situation where he's constantly looking over his shoulder and his family is in danger. So where does this leave us now? The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is still investigating the home invasion. No arrests have been made. The 4 suspects are still out there somewhere. 6ix9ine is scheduled to be sentenced on November 20th for his probation violations. He could be going to prison for up to 9 months, or he might get house arrest if his lawyer's argument works. And in typical 6ix9ine fashion, he's already turned this whole situation into content. He's posting videos throwing cash around. He's calling out the burglars. He's probably going to make songs about this, because that's what he does. Everything becomes content. Everything becomes part of the narrative. But at some point, you have to wonder when the content stops being worth it. When does the trolling and controversy cost more than it brings in? How many more incidents like this can happen before something even worse occurs? These are questions that 6ix9ine probably should be asking himself, but probably won't. The home invasion also raises serious questions about security and safety for controversial public figures. If you're someone who's made powerful enemies, if you're constantly in the news for negative reasons, if you've cooperated with federal authorities against dangerous people, what's your responsibility to protect yourself and your family? Is it enough to have security sometimes? Do you need it 24/7? Do you need to change your whole lifestyle and go into hiding? And what about the people who enable this behavior? Jack Doherty just got arrested for drugs and disrupting traffic, and less than 24 hours later, he's doing a collaboration live stream with another controversial figure. Neither of them seem to think about the consequences or the risks. They were just focused on getting content and views. Is that responsible? Is that smart? The other question is, what happens to 6ix9ine's career from here? He came out of prison in 2020 with a massive buzz. People were curious to see what he'd do next. His first single back, Gooba, did huge numbers, but since then, his music hasn't hit the same way. His recent projects haven't charted as well. The trolling that used to feel fresh now feels repetitive, and this home invasion might be a turning point. Some fans might see this as proof that 6ix9ine is genuinely in danger and feel sympathy for him, but others might see it as confirmation that the lifestyle he's living is unsustainable and dangerous, not just for him, but for everyone around him, that could turn people away from supporting his career. There's also the legal angle. If he gets sentenced to prison this week, that could take him out of the public eye for months. And in the music industry, momentum is everything. If you're gone for even a few months, people move on. New artists come up, trends change. By the time you come back, you might be irrelevant. Plus, being in prison as a known cooperator is incredibly dangerous. His lawyer has argued that 6ix9ine faces much worse conditions than typical inmates. Because of his status, he gets isolated, which sounds safer, but it also means limited human contact, limited exercise, and a psychological toll that adds up fast. And if someone really wanted to get to him, prisons aren't as secure as people think. So 6ix9ine is facing some genuinely serious decisions. Does he keep living the same way and hope nothing worse happens? Does he change his entire approach and go low-key? Does he hire better security and stop taking risks? Or does he just accept that this is his life now, that there will always be people trying to hurt him, and he has to live with that reality? The reaction online has been pretty split. Some people are expressing genuine concern for his mother and hoping she's okay after such a traumatic experience. Others are making jokes and memes about the situation. Some are saying this is exactly what happens when you snitch. And some are defending 6ix9ine and pointing out that violence is never the answer regardless of what someone has done. What's clear is that 6ix9ine remains one of the most polarizing figures in hip-hop. People either love him or hate him. There's very little middle ground. And situations like this home invasion only reinforce those existing opinions rather than changing anyone's mind. The last thing I'll say is that we need to be careful about glorifying or normalizing this kind of violence. Yes, 6ix9ine made choices that put him in this position. Yes, he continues to make decisions that keep him in danger. But armed home invasions are serious crimes. Holding someone's mother at gunpoint is traumatic and wrong, and we shouldn't lose sight of that just because we don't like the person it happened to. At the same time, we can acknowledge that 6ix9ine's actions have consequences. When you cooperate against gang members, they don't forget. When you troll people constantly and mock them online, some of them will want revenge. When you flaunt wealth and show off where you live, you make yourself a target that doesn't justify violence, but it does explain why these things keep happening. So what do you think? Do you feel bad for 6ix9ine and his mother after this home invasion, or do you think he brought this on himself? Should he change his lifestyle and go into hiding, or is it too late for that? And what's gonna happen at his sentencing this week? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay updated on this story as it develops, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because something tells me this isn't over yet.